What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis, yo, coach of the Helsinki D.Rey, and we are back for the AP Academy Week 7 battle versus ItzWhateva and his team being the Sacramento Nidokings. There won't be any team builder or live commentary or face cam, cause I'm gonna be doing this as a post commentary, cause I've been really sick past week or so, and I battled this while I was still very sick and I couldn't talk at all. And right now, even still, if you cannot tell from my voice a little bit, I'm still sick. It's very hard for me to speak, so my apologies for that, and if I have to drink every now and then. But I want to record this for you guys so you get it up today on Friday. But once we get into the part of when we see the team of 6 of myself and my opponent, I'm gonna be breaking down very briefly the team of 6. So we are bringing G-Max Gengar with Nasty Plot, with Dual Stab, Dashing Gleam, and the Nasty Plot in itself. Then we have Expert Belt Zeraora with 4 attacks, so Plasma Fist, Play Rough, Close Combat, and Fire Punch. Then we have Chopper Berry, Mamoswine there as a lure for the Terrakion. Then we have a Spadef, Restore Chesto, Iron Defense, Bronzong, which is there to check a rolls rate, and Gardevoir, but it can also be a winning condition. Then we have a fully physically defensive Clefairy, which is there to help out dealing with the Terrakion, and it can help dealing with the Haxorus as well while at it. And then we have a defensive Hydreigon with the Light Clay to get up a Reflect for my team, and also as a remover for default, cause he has a Galvantula on his team, and Sticky Webs were a little bit annoying for my team to deal with. So that is going to be the team of 6 that I have for this week. The lead of choice was actually pretty hard for me to decide, because I wanted to lead well versus the Galvantula if that would be his lead of choice. And that's where I decided, okay, I'm gonna lead out with Zeraora, go for 2 Fire Punches and take it out if he tries to get up the Sticky Webs, and go from there. So that's basically the mindset that I had going into the turn 1, and we're gonna be seeing that my opponent will be leading up with his Roll Shred, and as he led out with that, I had an option to swap out into my Bronzong, but instead of doing that, I actually decided to stay in and risk a potential slot spawn poison. And you're gonna notice that I do end up getting poisoned by that, and it actually is going to really suck, because it's gonna put my Zeraora on the timer. And you're gonna notice we had some LAN issues on this battle, so my apologies for that, but that's something that's outside of my hands. It's not about my connection, it's about the LAN service being really lackluster as of late for any kind of draft league battling. But we are here and we still managed to get it going, and as I go for the Fire Punch, the ideal goal is that I can potentially OHKO it if it's fully offensive. If it has a little bit of bulk, it will be definitely still a 2-hit KO for sure. So that was the play, and you're gonna notice, as I mentioned earlier, he's gonna stay in and decide to go for Sludge Bomb, and he managed to get the poison. And fair play from his behalf. Zeraora is a massive threat to him, so he cannot really afford to swap out versus it. And here we get to extend the first turn of action. And there's the poison, which is really sucky, because you're gonna notice that how quickly it's actually gonna wear me down. And after this attack, as he's gonna be sucking this Roll Shred, I believe I have like 2 or 3 turns remaining in my Zeraora, just purely from the poison recall that I have to take. So that's pretty huge. Like, if I would have not been poisoned, I would be able to keep this throughout the whole battle and not worry about being on a timer. But because I'm on a timer, I have to remanage my Zeraora if I need it for late game to be able to outspeed and kill things that it's able to do. So that's it for that, and we are gonna be seeing that he's gonna take yet again his time, but there's also a chance that these turns take quite a bit of while, because of the fact that the LAN issues are pretty lackluster as of late. But here we are able to finish off the Roll Shred, and I'm gonna be sipping a little bit of drink as we're gonna be seeing that what he goes next into. And I believe the next one that I remember by it is going to be the Gardevoir, and the Gardevoir, the way he's gonna be bringing it in, it's kinda screaming to be Choice Scarf, but at this point of the battle it could have also been a moment that he thought that, okay, if it's not Choice Scarf, he knows he can leave any one hit, and he's gonna be tracing my Volt Absorb, so I cannot Plasma Fist through it, or I should not be doing that, because that would be a really throwaway. But at this point, I'm gonna be going to my Bronzong. In a hindsight, it was very no throwback play for him to click Mystical Fire, and in a hindsight, I should have swapped myself to be heat proof in that sense, but it's kind of hard to make that call. Like if I would have been heat proof, he could have still run Shadow Ball, and in a hindsight, I think from his perspective, he should have always run Shadow Ball, but he ran Mystical Fire anyways on it, and it kind of sucks because we do take quite a bit of damage, and now I'm in a position that I'm not gonna be messing around with this Gardevoir in front of me. I don't want to over-predict and him staying in and 2-shot me as I would go for rocks, for example. So I do go for the heavy scam, even though the Galvantula would be able to come in and it's able to resist the hit, but at least the potential focus size is broken. And this is gonna be a tough call for me to make after this turn, because I have to decide that how do I want to play around this Galvantula, what do I want to bring in, because I don't want to stay in with my Bronzong, because I need it for the Gardevoir, especially now that it's kinda leaning towards to be shown to be Choice Golfer, and I don't have a Choice Golfer of my own to outspeed it, so Bronzong's health for the late game is huge. And because of the Iron Defense, it can still be a winning condition if I get rid of this Galvantula. Here I'm kinda debating hard that who do I go into, and what is the risk of me doing any of the other swaps that I could go into, and I'm heavily debating just making a safer play, like a Clefairy here, but I opted to go with very aggressive route, expecting the sticky webs, so I bring the Gengar in before those go up, knowing the fact that if he goes for Thunder and paralyzes me, I'm in a very bad spot, but I figure that it's so obvious that he clicks sticky webs, so I have to do this play, and then I can G-Max and finish off this thing or whatever will be coming in. He doesn't bring also his Umbreon, or he didn't bring his Umbreon to this battle, which was one of the things that I thought he would bring for Gengar and Hydreigon, for example, but he brought a lot more aggressive teams, so because he didn't bring that thing, he has no Ghost Resist on his team, so I'm very free to just G-Max here and go for the G-Max Terror and just finish this Galvantula off and go from there. I wasn't too sure that if the G-Max Poison move would have finished this thing off, but the fact that I'm able to at least go for this, it still guarantees me the kill, and I didn't want to mess around of potential with leaving just to get up a +1 special attack, because that would be the only reason to go for the poison type move on G-Max form in itself. But we are gonna be seeing yet again this turn is gonna take a while. I believe it's more so about that like, my opponent is in a hard spot right now, and now he ultimately decides that he's gonna stay in and sack his Galvantula most likely. That's gonna be the end of the result of this turn when G-Max Gengar is able to hit the field, go for the G-Max form, and now we're gonna be finishing off the Galvantula. It's going to drop this G-Max move, and that's pretty nice because I didn't have good switches to Galvantula. As you noted, it was pretty hard to already make a call that who I even swap into one of its attacks, so getting rid of this thing is really nice, but now the priority becomes that I have to remove those sticky webs with my Hydreigon, and that's kind of the sole purpose for Hydreigon for this week. Unfortunately, it has to serve a team support role, but it's okay because we have other offensive threats in our arsenal for this week, and Hydreigon doesn't need to be one of those this time around. And now we still have 2 turns of G-Max form to be used, and we also are still at full health, and the sticky webs are not affecting the Gengar because we came in a little bit earlier. This was a surprising call for my opponent, that he brought his own G-Max mon here, but it also kind of makes sense because maybe he didn't really have any other play at this point in time, and he was banking basically that I don't have G-Max like Grass move, which to be honest I actually had for a long time on my Gengar, but because I had Reflect on Hydreigon, I opted to have Nasty Plot so I can set up the Umbreon if that would have been his response. But now I'm kind of regretting not to have the Grass move, because I would have been able to OHKO this thing if I had it. So now I have to think very hard at how I do want to go about this, and I believe I was calculating right now like how much his G-Max moves are going to do to me. I can he OHKO me, but he should not be able to OHKO me right now, especially with the bulk investment that I'm able to afford to run. And now he's gonna be going for the G-Max form, and I'm gonna be going for the G-Max Terror of my own. And after that, you're gonna be noticing that I'm gonna be going for the Max Guard, and Max Guard is also gonna be my opponent's play on this turn. He wants to burn out one of the turns of G-Maxes as well, and this is also a potential chance for him to scout if I had the Grass type move. So fair play to him. Definitely makes a lot of sense why he made that, and here I'm basically being like, okay, he went for that, now it's my turn to do so. I actually gain more now on this sequence, that I keep my Gengar fully healthy, and I can burn out one of his attacking moves, because after that he only has one G-Max move himself remaining, and after this I can swap into Hydreigon, I can take any one hit from it, I outspeed it, so I can go for the defog, and Hydreigon is pretty much done, it's up already as it is. So that's gonna be the initial play from here, as he revealed to have the Z-Darkness here as his way of hitting my Gengar the hardest. So sorry about pausing up, but yet again I'm kind of still fighting through this commentary so I can actually provide it for you guys while still trying to recover from my sickness, so I have to drink every now and then. So either way, my opponent does go for the signature move, which is the water type base type move, which also sets up the Stealth Rocks, which is a pretty cool mechanic for G-Max more like Dreadnought, that is able to attack and get up the rocks as well, so you're not actually spending a turn when you're not attacking your opponent while getting those up. But here I'm able to go for the defog, remove both those Stealth Rocks and the Sticky Waves from my side, and we are gonna be seeing that my opponent, I believe he's gonna be swapping out on this turn, and that's going to be the initial play what he does. I actually forgot what he swapped into, but I think it's going, yeah, it's gonna be the Gardevoir that he swaps into, which is fair play by him, because he's able to force me out. But at this point I was okay that even if he makes this play, I'm probably gonna stay and go for the Dark Pulse off the chance he predicts my Bronzong again. And if I lose my Hydreigon here, it's okay, cause now he doesn't have any ways to get hazards on my side unless he runs Stealth Rock separately, still on the Dreadnought Terrakion, but I don't think he will. And now I actually, I go for the Reflect off the chance he predicts, cause Reflect helps with the physical attackers in the back, and I didn't seem to having to need to have the damage on Gardevoir, which is fair actually, cause Bronzong always all-calls it from full with Heavy Scam. So as long as Bronzong is the one able to hit the Gardevoir, I don't need it to have any chip damage on it. So in hindsight, that was my thought progress from there. But unfortunately for me, he does decide to go for the Moonblast, which is again is fair play, because he was able to weaken down the Bronzong and he's not really threatened by it. So he was able to pick up my Hydreigon, and at this point I'm like, okay, well, my only play is got Bronzong here. And this is where I decide to be a little bit of sort of aggressive, because here I noticed that, okay, barring the Gardevoir, all of his attackers what are left are physical attackers. So here we have opportunity to make something really cool to happen with Bronzong if everything goes in our way. And that is actually be able to sweep with this guy, cause I have Restore just to gain my health up, and with Iron Defenses up I can navigate the damage that those physical attackers can do to me, and Body Press hits majority of them very hard, like 2 of them are hitting super effectively, and then there's a Hack Switch which I can still do good damage to it. And now I go for +4, cause at +4 I'm able to kill or take the least amount of damage from the Haxorus as well, and the Terrakion, and from this Dreadnought as well. And the idea was after this Iron Defense, I would go for the rest, and then I would start going for Body Presses. And ideally I can sweep from here, and there are good chances that I can do it, but we have to see if we are able to do that. And he's gonna be going for his Sword Dance of his own, and this is where basically I have to be like, okay, I cannot really mess around with this and actually sweep as easily that I thought I would be able to do, because if he didn't have a Sword Dance, this would be a setup fodder, but because he does have that, he can just set up along with me to the point that it's not worthwhile for me to try to go all the way to the +6. So you're gonna be noticing that I believe I go for the rest, or I go for the Body Press next. I remember from this point on I was trying to think and looking at the cost, like it doesn't seem to make sense for me to start setting up any further and start risking anything. So now it's more so that am I willing to go for body burst right now, or do I have to go for the rest first? And this is where I decided, okay, I'm gonna go for the rest, because I want to be in a health that I can still take a mystical fire from Gardevoir. And this is where my opponent decides to attack, which is gonna do a good amount of damage still at +4, because I am still especially defensive invested IVs wise, so he's gonna be doing a lot of damage to me. And it also has the strong jaw as its ability to boost that grunt, so it's gonna be hurting. But now we are in a good amount of health. But one thing that really sucked, that if you didn't notice, is that he got a defense drop. So now I'm at +3 defense instead of +4. So that kind of hinders my ability to be able to take those physical attacks, as I was so hoping to be able to do from here on out. But I have to start attacking. And the one big thing that I have to keep in mind, once this Dreadnought goes down, I have to keep this thing alive for the Gardevoir. So I cannot actually attempt to sweep from here, because then I'm risking losing to Gardevoir from late game if I happen to let this thing go to the Haxorus or the Terrakio, which he might go into next. So we're gonna be noticing that or seeing that he's gonna be going to the Haxorus next. And that is where I have to make the call that I actually have to swap out versus that thing, because I have to watch out for the Gardevoir for the late game. That's like the biggest thing that I have to worry about right now, that what I can lose to. Other than the fact that Haxorus and Terrakion possess the setup opportunities themselves to maybe actually make me kind of choke the game away. So those are kind of the ways that I see that, okay, those are the outs for my opponent. And I have to prevent those as best as possible. But here, as the Haxorus comes out, I'm gonna be just hard swapping into my Clefairy. There was a chance that I would live this Earthquake, and what he's able to go for, thanks to the Mold Breaker ability to never get it to levitate, but it's not worth for me to do that. And Clefairy is fully physically defensive, so it's able to take these hits quite well. And you're gonna be noticing that he goes for the Earthquake right here. And it's gonna be doing decent amount of damage, because obviously it's still a Haxorus and it reveals to be Life Orb as well. And here I'm like, okay, I have options to go for Moonblast or I go for the Softball, but I go for the Moonblast. Hits what is in front of me, and if he does swap into Gardevoir, I can get some cheap damage on that and maybe a special attack drop while at it. So Moonblast was the best play that I thought I would have at this point. Now we are gonna be seeing what my opponent decides. As yet again, I apologize, but I have to take a little bit of a drink so I can actually provide the rest of the commentary for this video. As we are gonna be seeing that he does go into his Terrakion, my favorite Moonblast resist, but we are still a Clefairy, so we are not gonna be doing quite enough damage to be a 2-hit KO, unfortunately. I could have been a high side, put a little bit of special attack on this to guarantee this, but I was really worried about able to switch into Bandit Terrakion. Even Bandit Stone Edge is put up 2-shot Clefairy, because that's how strong Terrakion is. But if he would have been Life Orb, I kinda need the maximum bulk. But this is where it kinda sucks that how weak Clefairy actually is offensively wise, because, you know, it's a Clefairy, but this is where I was starting to calc, if I remember right, like how much Iron Head or Poison Jab would be doing to me, but I should be able to live any of those hits. So I thought that, okay, it's better for me to actually Softball to see the damage, and I can actually gain health from this turn unless he crits me or flinches me. So I go for the Softball, see what kind of damage he's able to do, and that doesn't seem to be Choice Bandit, so I'm like, okay, I can gain health from here, but because he isn't Choice Bandit, I have to be wary of him going for a Sword Dance right now. So this is where I decide that, okay, I'm gonna attack off the chance he's Sword Dance, or off the chance if he's locked into this like Choice Scarf, I'm gonna go for the Moonblast and predict a Gardevoir to swap in on that turn. I figure that that's kinda like overall my best play, just to attack what is in front of me or what could be swapping into me as a reaction from his behalf. One of the options that I could have done is like slow Baton Pass as well. That probably would have been the other play that I definitely could have done, but I opted to just stay in and go for the Moonblast and just get the damage on this Terrakion. Because if he goes for the Rock Polish, the Baton Pass would have actually been the worst play, but he does go for the Sword Dance, basically try to get rid of me with that regard, and he already saw from the first Moon Blast that it's not a 2-hit KO. So fair play by him. So he's able to live that hit, and this is where I'm like, okay, who is the most expendable of this team? And I'm like, okay, while Clefairy would be really nice for the Haxorus, I still have my Mamoswine at full health, I have my Zeraora to outspeed it and kill it, and I also have my Gengar to outspeed it and kill it. So I'm like, okay, Clefairy is the most expendable, I'm gonna let it go down here, as he's able to pick me off. And here basically I can go into Mamoswine and just pick this thing off with Ice Shot. And with that, I basically leave Mamoswine in the point that it's gonna be still at full health. It's able to take any one hit from the Haxorus barring a crit, because we have even Chapo Berry for a close combat if he would be carrying it. And Gardevoir cannot OHKO me from full either, because it doesn't learn. I don't think it learns Grass Knot, or if it learns it, I wasn't expecting to have it at this point. So I thought that, okay, Mamoswine not only kills the Terrakion, it can manage both of the moves that are still left in the field for my opponent's side. So we're gonna be going for the Ice Shot, pick up the Terrakion, and now he only has 2 mons remaining in the Haxorus and the Gardevoir. Gardevoir is still at full health, and the Haxorus has taken 1 round of Life Orb recall, so he's like 91% if he IV'd it properly. So 2 mons basically at full, but we should be able to manage them as long as there's nothing really unlucky would happen at this point of round. Like ideally Mamoswine can just 2-shot the Haxorus with Ice Shot, lift the hit from it, even Life Orb Outrage should not be killing us unless he gets a crit. And after that, once the Gardevoir comes in, I get a little bit of chip with Ice Shot, even though it would chase my Thick Fat. And after that I would go into Bronzong and just go for the Heavy Slam and end the game from there. That was basically the mindset that I thought, like, okay, this is gonna be how we're gonna be playing out the rest of the game, and that should ensure me the win. That I just go for the Ice Shot here over Icicle Grass, cause Icicle Grass has chance to miss, and I rather just get the guaranteed damage off on this turn. And I don't think my opponent has any reason to click even like a first impression on this turn. He's probably gonna be going for the move that is hardest to hit my Mamoswine, trying to kill me, cause obviously he would be outspeeding me, and the Ice Shot should not take him out by any means. But it's still a 2-hit KO, and it's going to be doing significant amount of damage, and we're going to be seeing that he goes for the Outrage. But because of my defensive investment, I should currently live this, except the fact that he gets a critical hit, and that's pretty annoying, because now that gives a opening for him, for Gardevoir to actually beat me if he locks himself into the Mystical Fire, and I'm not able to manage the 2-hit KO, or I get unlucky with my Gengar otherwise. So here I'm basically banking on the fact that Gengar can clean it off, and I bring the Gengar into also gonna force Gardevoir's hand to try to make a decision that what he would have to lock himself into at that point of one. And we just go for the Dazzling Gleam first, finish off the Haxorus, and now the Gardevoir will come in, and this is where kinda if everything goes down, and this is where I have to be like, okay, I cannot get unlucky, or him being very bulky with Choice Scout set, and then I cannot actually 2-shot it for whatever reason, because Mystical Fire can always has a chance to lower my special attack. So it's pretty annoying, and he's gonna be tracing also my Curse Body. So if it's bulky and the Curse Body activates on this Sludge Bomb, then I started to really be paranoid about the Shuttle Bar able to pick it up. But it really depends on like how much the Sludge Bomb will do actually. And the ideal situation is that we still get the poison even if we get Curse Bodied, and then the Shuttle Ball should always pick it up. But there's always a chance that still another critical hit could still happen, and then this battle just goes all down to the train, where we are in a position that we should win 3-0, but it's definitely not guaranteed because there's a lot of luck factor and IV spreads that can still mess it up. So we are gonna be going for the Sludge Bomb, wait and see that what he decides to lock himself into, and he does make the right decision and go for the Mystical Fire, which thankfully is not a 2-hit KO, which is pretty nice. But the special attack drop did seem a little bit worrisome at first, except the fact that I saw how much the Sludge Bomb did. So I was like, okay, Shuttle Ball should be enough to kill unless I get stupid rolls. on these initial turns, and that was like a high roll sludge bomb, and this is gonna be like a mean roll shadow ball. But we are gonna be seeing that he's not able to crit us. We go for this shadow ball, and we are gonna be seeing that if it's going to be enough, and it's going to be enough to take out the Gardevoir. So great game to ItzWhateva. He got a pretty lucky with the sludge bomb poison and with the critical on Haxorus, which made it a lot closer game than I would have liked it to be. Because I figured that with my prep and how the battle was going, I had a very good chance of getting a higher differential from this. But thankfully we still were able to get the win, and that is going to be our week 7 battle. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for the UBL Season 4 semifinals. It may go up on the same day as this one, or it's gonna be going up tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for the AP as well, for the remaining of the regular season and the playoffs which are coming ahead. And my apologies for the lack of face cam and lack of live commentary, but hopefully once I'm fully healed, I can still, I will start providing those yet again. But until then, until I'm back healthy and until we are back yet again for the UBL semifinals and week 8 of the AP Academy, thank you all for watching, and I'm gonna be seeing you guys later.